like, just calm down, folks. Just calm down. It is your weekly power play of hockey. Yes, it's the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. I'm Barry Besse, along with my son Carson Besse. We do the podcast here every Thursday night. And in case you're new to the game here and new to our podcast, we talk about the NHL, hockey, the best game on earth. And we also like to talk about our favorite teams. My team is the Edmonton Oilers. Carson's team is the Pittsburgh Penguins. We talk about a lot about what's going on with the playoffs. And if you're not familiar with the NHL or the system, the playoffs,
Get familiar with it. It's great.
get familiar with it, because if you're going to follow us, you're going to be following hockey a lot over the next 3 or 4 months. We've got about 35 days until the start of the playoffs. So we're getting into the final run. It's going to be an interesting last month of the season. I want to say that you can, of course, join us here live on Facebook. You can also get us live on our YouTube channel, Best Boys Center Ice Podcast. And that is, we'd love for you to be able to go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe, because, the more subscriptions we get, the more word of mouth we can get about the podcast. We're getting a lot of great views, and we're getting a lot of great comments about the podcast. And if you have a comment, if you're going to jump on with us here tonight, either via YouTube or Facebook, you can make comments about your favorite team, where your team kind of fits in the whole playoff picture coming up. And we just love to hear from you. So just come on now, and you can also message us after the game if you want. But like I said, Carson, interesting. You said to me online, you said about 35 days until the start of the playoffs. And
Yep.
now, as we knew, a lot of games for a lot of teams at a short amount of time.
Each
And
team's got about 20 games.
yeah, each team has about 20 games. So let's start with how things are going out in the Steel City.
Good. This week, like I said last week, not a great set of news with the Geno suspension. I mean, they're the Penguins, again, like repeating myself, have the hardest schedule remaining out of any team. By the amount of points each of those teams have they're playing against, their combined points percentage, the Penguins have the hardest schedule. And it's really kind of weird in the aspect that they're playing like the same teams over and over again. So like, okay, they've played Vegas twice in the matter of a week and a half, Carolina 3 times in 12 days, Colorado twice in like a week. It's crazy. Like it's just playing the same teams over and over again. But they're managing their way through. They got, since we last spoke, which was Thursday night, they had lost, or on Friday night we talked, I think last week. Yeah, we did. So they lost to Buffalo. That's when the suspension happened. The Penguins played 3 games since then and have gotten 4 out of the 6 points. Won't complain with that. They played against Philly on Saturday and lost in a shootout, and that was kind of a clunky game. Not too many shots really on the net for either side, but there were a ton of goals for that. Being said, it was 5-4 final. But the shootout woes continue. They don't do good in the shootout. They had a power play in overtime and they didn't score on it, and it burned them. Then you go and play against Boston on Sunday, which looked to be a very tough game for them to play in, and they were down 3-0 in the matter of halfway through the game. Didn't look very good. They were playing well, but couldn't score. It seems like when they play Boston, they just kind of get goalied a little bit, and then they broke through. They had a 5-on-3 goal, and then 2 quick ones in the matter of a minute to tie it in the third. Then Boston took the lead back, and I thought that would have broken them, and it didn't. They tied the game, and they ended up winning in overtime on a Tommy Novak goal. And then you head to the game against Carolina on Tuesday, and again, a game the Penguins shouldn't really have been in because they're out their 2 best players. Carolina is one of those teams I don't like watching them play. It's frustrating for me to watch them play. They constantly play that defense only kind of hockey. I mean, they scored 4 goals. Okay, give them that. But for the most part, they just try to suffocate you coming in and out of the zone, and it's very frustrating to watch that kind of game for me. But they hung in it. They took the lead 2-1 in the second, but then Carolina got 3 goals in the third, and it looked like it was over. And they scored twice in the last 2 minutes to tie it, send it to overtime. But they lose in the shootout again, so they get another point, which has been their saving grace to getting them where they're at right now. Uh, they they didn't lose any ground, particularly. Uh, they played as good as they are playing as good as they can with who they don't have. They're really playing as good as they can do. It's it's really they've been playing really well 5-on-5. Special teams has been pretty okay. It's just it's past 60 where it kind of gets squirrely. They play good in overtime, but they just don't capitalize on their chances, and they're 1-10 in the shootout this season. So that's not a stat you'd like, but it doesn't matter as long as they get in the postseason because that's null and void. Shootouts and 3-on-3 is gone. 5-on-5, I like the way they look, and it's only going to get better with the two big guys back. They're still second in the Metro. They've been in that spot for a while, and I don't see that changing particularly much soon. But they just got to keep the foot on the gas. They again have a hard schedule. They've got 2 more games without Gino until he's back. They play tonight against Vegas at 9, and then they play on Saturday night in Utah at 8. Then they get Gino back, thank God, against the Avs on Monday, which that could be also Sid's return game. It's would have been 3 weeks since the injury. He's been skating with the team. He's been practicing with the team. I would like to see him back on that night, but you never know. Okay, they play the Avs on Monday, and then they close out that Western trip by going back to Carolina again. So that's a lot of tough games ahead, and they got to keep snagging points if they're losing. Try to get that overtime point at least, because that's what's keeping them where they're at. Is that they constantly are getting points when they're losing, so they're really not losing any ground. It's just it's fun to watch. I hope they make it there. They really don't have much to do. They probably just got to be 500 the rest of the way, and I think they'll be okay. But they still got to try to take as many of these games as they can. Take advantage of situations like tonight against Vegas, a team that's been bad since the Olympic break came back. I think they're 2-6 or something like that. You gotta extend that and keep the foot on the gas and play them like you did last week when they beat them 5-0 at home. Play that same kind of game in Vegas, and they can make some noise here, but yeah, they got to be ready to go from the jump.
Yeah, and now if Sid's going to come back and Gino will be back. Once you get into that last few, couple of 2, 3 weeks of the season, that's when these guys will start ramping up, and they're
For
going to need to get
Yeah,
that push.
well, for now, everybody's just got to play their part like they have been. Everybody's playing their tough minutes. They're playing. Everybody's contributing to the game as far as contributing offensively, playing well defensively, making great efforts. I like what I'm seeing. Really, they're playing really well with the guys they don't have. They're really doing a great job. I mean, they're competing with these high level teams that have all their guys, and they don't, and they're still just finding their way through it. This is a stretch of games that I didn't feel very good about because they were down those 2 guys, and they've gotten 4 to 6 points since the suspension. And I think since Sid's been hurt, I want to say I saw that they are, was it 5-2-2 or three? Oh no, 3-2-2 since Sid got hurt at the Olympics. So you've gotten points in 5 of the 7 games without him. You're almost theoretically halfway through the point without him. Should he not come back early, they just got to keep it up. Both
Yeah.
goalies have been playing amazing. They're holding the Penguins in these games to make it to overtime. I've never been one to complain about the loser points. I'm going to take advantage of it this way with how many times they've lost in that overtime or shootout. That's the reason they're at where they're at, because 5-on-5 they've been phenomenal. It's just past 60 where they just crumble.
Mhm.
But like I said, you lose twice in overtime. That's basically a win right there. Obviously, you'd like to get the 2 points, but if you're not, you're at least getting one rather than nothing.
Mhm.
So if you're losing, try to push it to that 60, or push it past the 60 to just get the overtime point. But it's looking bright. Like they're going to get back to the playoffs again. They just got to focus on one game at a time. And if they can get a 3 or 4 game winning streak, that'll really boost it up for them to be pretty much set and ready just to keep playing through and making it there.
Yeah, and I think they got a good shot at least hanging on to one of the top three
Well,
positions.
they're gonna be a tough that's gonna be a tough team to play. Number
Mhm.
one, you've got those guys back in the playoffs that have been missing it for a few seasons. Those competitors that just
Yeah,
ran the league for a while. Number two, you've got a city that's waiting for their hockey team to finally make it back to the playoffs after a few seasons. The last time they got to have the playoffs, they didn't get a full crowd because of the COVID stuff.
yeah,
So they haven't had full in arena action packed playoff hockey since 2019.
yeah,
That's a long time ago. I mean, I know the Penguins were a good team in the 20 teens, but that's a long time without playoff hockey, and they're that close to it. It's going to be hard to beat them. It's really
yeah.
going to be hard to beat them, especially just you've got Stu and Shelovs who are keeping the team in it when they need to make the saves. For the most part, they're making them. I mean, Stu had one against the Canes, 2-on-1 in the last 3 minutes that could have just given up, and he didn't. He
Mhm.
made the save, and they come back and tie it. Same thing with Shelovs. He just does the same thing. It's gonna be a tough environment to play in, especially just with the guys that are close to being done, that they want to get back and give it another run, and there's no reason they can't with the buy-in they've gotten from that roster so far. That they've got all four lines ready to play, all three D pairs ready to go, both goalies ready to go. They're
Mhm.
going to war, and they're going to try to win. And they've proven a lot of people wrong. And I think at this point in the season, 60 some odd games in, there's no denying that this is a good team again.
Mhm.
Truthfully, and thanks to GM Cal Dubas for rebuilding the team the way he did, retooling it with guys that are hungry, young, have energy, like to play for this team, like to play for the guys in that room and play for each other. And that's why they're at where they're at, because look at the roster. It's not the most skilled roster, but they have a lot of heart, and that's why they're doing well right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward and hoping that we get to see the Penguins in the
Oh, I
playoffs.
know.
It's been a while.
I don't even care if they get bounced round one.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just to
as
see
long as
them in the
they,
playoffs again. Playoff
yeah,
hockey, when your team is in it, is different than when it's not,
yeah,
because it means more. You've got something really to look forward to. And then again, with a team like this that just has proven a lot of people wrong this season, there's no reason that they can't surprise some people and maybe make a little run at something. Who knows? It takes one. All it takes is a win to spark it, or a series to spark it, and you could
yeah.
be all the way. Like I said, each team that makes the playoffs divide uh, divide a pie chart into 16 equal slices. That every team has the same opportunity to make it.
Mhm. Everything goes back down to zero once the
Yep,
playoffs
it doesn't
start.
matter. Doesn't matter. But so I'm
Um,
happy. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 so far. I'm very thrilled and pleased.
okay. The Oilers also back in action there. 32, 25, and 8, second in the Pacific. 3 points back of Anaheim. They're technically tied with Vegas for second place, but they got second place because I think of more wins or less losses, one of the two. They were 2-1 since the show last week. They lost to Carolina last Friday night, 6-3, and then went on the gauntlet road trip that I didn't think was going to go very well. They wound up winning in Vegas Sunday, 4-2, and then Tuesday night in Colorado, they won 4-3. And like you're talking about a hard team to beat anytime, but especially in Denver. And I know, Connor Ingram was injured in the game as Nate McKinnon crashed into him late in the second period. Now they gave Nate a 5-minute penalty and a
I
game
didn't
of
like
time.
that.
Now I didn't agree after I saw the replay a couple of times. I did not agree with the 5-minute major. Um, I agree with the 2-minute penalty. Interference with the
Because
goaltender.
Nursey kind of pushed him in a
Yeah,
little
he
bit.
kind of pushed him a little bit, but they they gave him the five. The Oilers did not score on that 5-minute power play, but they did get two power play goals in the game, including the game winner. So a lot of people were saying, well, I was watching. I think it was a TNT broadcast down here in the States, and I was watching the post game, and everybody saying, well, I think the game would have been different if Nate McKinnon was in the third period. Well, yeah, sure, it would have been different if Nate was playing in the third period, but he played the first two periods and he really didn't do anything. He wasn't on the score sheet on the first two periods, I don't think.
Mhm.
Ingram was playing great. He, let in a goal. I think there maybe was one goal that was questionable. The other two were tip ins, and it's hard. when you're playing goal and you get a goal tipped in. And then when Jari came in the third period, I think he stopped like all 12 shots that he faced and looked. And like you're talking about the third period, Colorado were desperate, and he made some pretty good saves in that third period. So I'm still not confident in the goaltending in Edmonton. I am getting a little bit more confident with the defense in Edmonton now that Connor Murphy's in play.
I think they've kind of slowly figured it out a little bit.
Yeah,
how to limit the chances and just limit those second opportunity ones. Just kind of make it a one and done kind of thing.
And so their defense are kind of playing better now that Paul Coffey's back behind the bench. I really think makes a big difference for the Oilers. So the D is really coming up. The depth scoring is there again. It's starting to come up a little bit more. You got guys on the back end that are scoring, making contributions. Podkolzin, Kapanen is making a contribution. Roslovic is making a contribution. Of course, Zach Hyman is being Zach Hyman, after being injured in the conference finals against Dallas last year. You wonder, you say about the thing about Nate McKinnon not being there in the third period. Well, what if Zach Hyman was there for the Stanley Cup finals last year?
Yeah.
Could have been a different story. That's what kind of a player Zach Hyman is, and he's proven it. He's gotten, since he came back from the injury and earlier this season, he's gotten like 26 or 27 goals. So they're coming together like that. It's not just having to be McDavid and Draisaitl, even though it is. You look at the points and it's David and McDavid and Draisaitl, but you expect that out of your two best players in the world.
Yeah.
They're not just going to not want to score points to let somebody else score.
Yeah.
So, Bouchard, give him a hard time on defense. Of course I do. That's kind of like what I do. But he's top scoring defenseman in the league with 75 points. The Oilers haven't had a top scoring defenseman in the league since Paul Coffey back in the 80s. So it's nice to see him playing well. And I think he's playing more a smarter defense. There's sometimes where he'll get a little messy.
Get excited a little bit, I think.
But I think for the most part, he's tightened that up over the last few weeks. So, of course, Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid. He's leading the league in assists with 74, and he's also leading the league with 110 points. That's a guy who when he turns it on, like
it's hard to play him.
I don't know of anybody who can stop him. Like they were saying the other night, Nate McKinnon's about the only guy that can keep up with him. But then, I just think that once he gets the puck, something's going to happen. I feel like every time McDavid touches the puck, something's going to happen. Whether it's a great scoring opportunity or it's going to be a goal, something's going to happen, and that's what you want for the best player in the world. But as I mentioned, Podkolzin and Kapanen are going to be a key to the Oilers' playoff run. These guys are, I think Podkolzin is playing on the line with Draisaitl and Roslovic, and they put Kapanen down on the third line. But those are the guys that are going to be a key difference if the Oilers on how far they go in the playoffs. And of course, I mentioned with the addition of Connor Murphy, tighten up the defense a little bit. Now, there's one guy that I thought would be on the chopping block, but that's Chris Knobloch, the head coach. I really felt before the break and just after the break, I said, if he doesn't win, I think they're going to get rid of him, because I'm hearing whispers that he's kind of lost the team in the dressing room. So once that happens, and you've experienced that with the Penguins, he seems to have lost. So I don't think anything is going to happen this season. It's like I don't think it's going to happen. But if depending on how far they go in the playoffs, Chris Knobloch could be on his way out, because if you don't have the team. If it doesn't believe in you, then management's going to get rid of the coach. That's just the way it is. So I'm hoping not, because I think he's a great coach. He does need to be a little bit more vocal, maybe a little bit more energetic
Yeah, he doesn't give it to anybody. He kind of just lets it go.
He needs to be a little bit more John Torchetti-like. Not quite
Torchetti,
that bad. Not quite, but he needs to get a little bit more fire under him.
Tortorella,
Tortorella, yeah. Coming
making
up
up
with
names as we go.
Edmonton's in Dallas against the Stars tonight at 7. Then they go back-to-back in St. Louis tomorrow. Sunday, they're at home to Nashville. Tuesday, at home to San Jose. And then a week from tonight, it's a Stanley Cup Finals rematch against the Panthers. So a lot of games for the Oilers in the next 7 days, and that's just the way that things are going to go for most of the teams in the NHL over this last 35 days of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
NHL news, Dylan Larkin and Andrew Kopp out 2 weeks for Detroit, both with lower body injuries. And, Detroit's making a run for the playoffs. And you get two guys that are going to be out for a couple of weeks.
They had a bad loss the other night. On Tuesday.
That's going to be hard for them to come back.
They've been that team the last couple of seasons where they just fall apart at the wrong time, and it gets them barely out by like a few points. And this doesn't look very promising for them. They had a game the other night against Florida. They were up by goal, and they let in 2 goals in the last minute and a half to lose in regulation.
Yeah.
I think they have that reputation right now where they just fall apart at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them be in the playoffs again, but they don't have much room to miss. I mean, they gotta keep stacking points now because it doesn't matter. There's teams right behind them that could easily jump them up.
Yep. Then earlier this week, I think it was Sunday night.
Game.
15 goals.
Best game of the season, I think that was
15 goals, 106 minutes in penalties, including 5 fights. Buffalo wins the game 8-7. Now, we'll talk about that, but Buffalo, out of literally nowhere this year, is leading the Eastern Conference and is on an incredible roll. And I've got them, I made some notes at the bottom, teams that could make their mark in the playoffs: Buffalo, Anaheim, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh. That's the teams that I feel that could really do. Teams that haven't been in the playoffs for a while or don't do very well in the playoffs, I think those teams could make a difference and be spoilers in the playoffs. But
Buffalo is just interesting. There's just some kind of magic going on where every game they play in is just
they haven't. You talk about Pittsburgh not having a playoff game
since 2000. Buffalo hasn't had a playoff game since 2011.
And imagine that building when the playoffs start.
It's already been great right now.
Yeah.
And it's still regular season. I mean, they've just pretty much got to coast their way through, and they'll be in. I mean, they've got it on a lock right now. If they just keep playing the way they are, they're going to be in, and they could be the 1 seed in the conference. Which I wasn't expecting to be saying that. I mean, at the beginning of the season, they started so bad again, and it's like, okay, they're done. And all of a sudden, they feel like they've won probably 35 out of the last 40 games with what they're doing. I mean, they're consistently, they're winning all the time. They're scoring a lot of goals. I mean, do I think it's legit? Yes, but no. I think that the Magic's going to run out eventually, and I could be wrong, but I think that if they have to play like Tampa or something in round 1, that's just going to be.
Yeah, it all depends on what
It depends what seeding they get. They might be at advantage if they stay the 1 seed, but again, if they go lower and they have to play, like a Tampa Bay or something, that's going to be a different animal because that's a team for the most part that doesn't have much playoff experience versus a team that's got a lot of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's nonetheless exciting. The crowd in Buffalo's got to be amazing when they get in. I'm going to say when they get in right now because there's no way that after how far they've come that they're going to let it go.
Yeah.
That's going to got to be one of the top atmospheres in the playoffs because of how long those fans have been waiting to see the Sabres. I mean, you got probably some teenagers that are going to be going to those games that weren't even alive the last time the Sabres made it.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Exactly. Want to say hello to Brian. Brian's watching us on our Facebook Live feed right now. And the last thing I have, Carson, is the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, Nick Schmaltz.
Signed forward Nick Schmaltz to an 8-year, $64 million contract. He's got 59 points so far on the year for the Mammoth. So it's a good signing for him. He seems to enjoy himself. He seems to be liking it in
Yep,
Utah, and I
that's a
think
fun team.
that's another team. That's another team that they're in the wild
Yeah.
card right now.
Let me ask you this. So I'm looking at the playoff standings right now. I'm gonna go over the teams that are in it, and you tell me kind of who you think maybe could. I'll go over that as well as some of the teams on the outside that could probably get
Mhm.
in or could squeak in, and
Okay.
who if you think anything's gonna change. Again, starting in the East, Buffalo, Tampa, Montreal, 1, 2, 3 in the Atlantic. Carolina, Pittsburgh, Islanders, top three in the Metro, and then in the wild cards right now you have Detroit and Boston.
Hmm.
The couple teams on the outside looking in that could sneak in are Columbus and Ottawa. Then you go to the West. Central 1, 2, 3 is Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. Pacific 1, 2, 3 Anaheim, Edmonton, Vegas. Wild card again Utah, Seattle 1, 2, and then the teams on the outside looking in that could squeak. I got L.A., San Jose, and Nashville
Hmm.
that could get in. Nashville and San Jose are only a point back. San Jose is a game in hand on Seattle. Los Angeles has tied with Seattle, and they have one more game played than them. So hearing the teams that are in and are on the outside, do you think there's really any change to this, or do you think it's going to be the exact same as I read it off
You
to
know
you?
what? Well, I think it's going to stay pretty much the same. The seedings may be a little bit different, 1, 2, 3, or the top six in in the top three in each division. As far as a wild card is concerned, I think the West has a better shot of getting a little bit of change, either the Kings coming up or the Sharks. I really think if the Sharks make a run, make a like a push, they could get into that wild card spot.
Yeah.
As far as in the East is concerned, the wild card teams, who do you say the wild card teams are right now?
Boston and Detroit, and then trailing them is Columbus, who's 2 points back of Boston, and on Ottawa's 5 points back.
I don't see Ottawa
Mhm.
doing much anything. Um, Carolina
I think Columbus can.
or
I think
Columbus, I
Columbus will
should
take
say.
over Detroit's spot.
I think Columbus will get in there. So, but other than that, I think everything else stays the same. Just maybe seedings will be a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think teams like Tampa Bay in the East, Buffalo have built their cushion enough. Obviously, go to the West. The three Central teams are pretty much good.
Yeah.
I mean, they just gotta pretty much for the formality play those games and they're in. Um, Seating changes will be interesting because you got so many ties in the divisional. Uh, Again, teams still like Edmonton, Vegas, Pittsburgh, New York Islanders, all that. Basically the bottom two teams in every division besides this and Central have got to be still playing mindful um, to get points, especially
Hmm.
to win in your division if you have any divisional games left, because those same teams that are beating that's a 4 point swing game
Yeah.
if it is a divisional game. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. Obviously, this is more exciting this year because of how compressed everything is
Mhm.
now at this time. I'm very, very excited. I'm hoping that the games have already been amazing. I mean, there's so many stories happening every night, so many lead changes, so many last minute ties. It's intense. This
Mhm.
is pretty much playoff hockey, but not in the playoff format. One thing I did want to talk about, actually, I remember just now thinking about Minnesota. Bill Guerin today or yesterday was talking about the playoff format and how he thinks it's crazy that it's still like they still don't do the 1 through 8 format, because in the Central you look at the teams of Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, and those one of those teams is going to be bounced by the other,
Yeah.
and when it comes to it, and I think about it. I understand where he's coming from because it does change it up if you do a 1 through 8, because you don't have that divisional rivalry thing going every year, where like the Edmonton LA thing where you're playing each other 4 years in a row. But regardless, to make it all the way, you're still gonna have to play that team.
Yeah.
Regardless, it
You
might just
might
be the
be.
next round. It might be
Yeah.
the next round, but
Yeah.
you're gonna have to play them. But it would be a cool shakeup. Honestly, this would be even a crazier idea if they went through a 1 through 16 format.
Oh, that's what
So
it
you would
used to
have
be.
you would have out of conference matchups. You could have a West v West Stanley
Oh,
Cup final and East v East. I think that'd be cool. I
yep.
mean, it changes it up a little bit, and you still get that competition, and those rivalries can spread a little bit outside of just your division or maybe even your conference.
Well,
How weird would it be to see like Edmonton and I don't know Tampa Bay having beef, or Boston? That would be cool. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty neat.
So, they used to do the 1 versus 16 when the Oilers came into the NHL. There was 21 teams, and it was the top 16 teams in the first year. I think Edmonton played Montreal in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Well, when you look at like the bubble year, or not the bubble year, the year after that, Stanley Cup final was Tampa Bay Montreal.
yep.
That can't happen. That in the standard NHL, that can happen. But as weird as that was, that makes for such an interesting story when you can play teams from out of conference or in
Mhm.
your conference in the final. I don't know. I think that'd be something cool that maybe they could explore in the future, because I think it would just open up a lot of opportunities as far as marketing is concerned for the game, and just to open up, different stories, different rivalries, stuff like that. Uh, Maybe that's an idea later on in the future that they tinker with or try, because I think it'd be pretty cool.
Well, it wouldn't be I don't think it would be a bad idea at all. And anything to, get, not that it's not exciting, but, you're right. You get
It adds to it.
usual matchups every year almost. And, but when it comes down to it, you're going to have to play these teams at some point. If you want to go all the way, you have to play these teams anyway. So that's pretty much all I got for today. Again, thank you for joining us here on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. These both will be, the show will be replayed on both channels here in just a few minutes.
Yep.
If you'd like to comment, you can catch up with us on our Facebook pages. Both of us have Facebook pages. You can also get us on our YouTube channel. Just make some comments there. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love, again, like I said earlier in the show, love to hear what you think how your team is doing. If your team is a bubble team, if your team is going to cruise into the playoffs, we'd like to know what you think about it. You can talk to us live, or you can message us anytime you want. We'll be messaging you back, no doubt. So again, Carson, thank you very much, my son, for another great job. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.